Every day you make thousands of decisions. What to eat for breakfast, which route to take to work, whether to check your phone when it buzzes, and you probably believe these choices are entirely your own. But what if they're not? What if the very concept of free will, your ability to consciously choose your actions, is merely an illusion? What if the decisions you think you're making have already been determined by factors beyond your awareness? The psychology of decision-making. Let's begin with a startling discovery from neuroscience. In the 1980s, researcher Benjamin Libet conducted a groundbreaking experiment that shook our understanding of conscious choice to its core. Participants were asked to flex their wrist whenever they felt the urge to do so while watching a special clock. They reported when they became conscious of their decision to move. Meanwhile, Libet measured their brain activity. The results were astonishing. The brain's preparation to move, called the readiness potential, began approximately 550 milliseconds before the action. But here's the shocking part. Participants only became aware of their decision about 200 milliseconds before moving. In other words, your brain starts preparing for actions before you're consciously aware you've decided to act. Your consciousness appears to be merely confirming decisions your brain has already initiated. This gets even more fascinating when we look at priming effects. Studies have shown that holding a warm drink makes you more likely to judge others as having warm personalities, or that the smell of cleaning products makes people more likely to keep their environment tidy. Your decisions are constantly being shaped by unconscious factors you never even register. Social determinism. But psychology is just the beginning. Sociologists argue that your choices are profoundly shaped by your social context. Consider this. If you were born in a different country, to different parents, in a different era, would you still be you? The values you hold, the political positions you defend, even the foods you prefer, all heavily influenced by your cultural environment. In fact, researchers can predict your political leanings with approximately 80% accuracy simply by knowing your parents' politics. The deeply ingrained habits, skills, and dispositions we possess due to our life experiences. Your social class, education level, and upbringing create invisible boundaries around what choices you'll even consider making. They form what Bourdieu called a feel for the game of life that operates below conscious awareness. Biological determinism. If psychology and sociology weren't enough to make you question free will, let's talk genetics and neurobiology. Twin studies have consistently shown that identical twins raised apart often make strikingly similar life choices, from careers to the names they give their children. Research in behavioral genetics suggests that personality traits like novelty-seeking, harm avoidance, and reward dependence are approximately 40 to 60% heritable. These traits profoundly influence your decision-making patterns. But our brains are shaped by a genetic blueprint we didn't choose, influenced by chemicals we didn't consciously regulate, and affected by experiences that imprinted on our neural architecture without our permission. If damage to certain brain regions can fundamentally alter your preferences and choices, were those choices ever truly free to begin with? Philosophical implications. This brings us to the philosophical problem. If we live in a causal universe where every effect has a cause, and our thoughts and decisions are physical processes occurring in our brains, then how can any decision truly be free? You didn't choose your parents, your genetic makeup, the culture you were raised in, or any experiences that shaped your early development. How then could you be responsible for your desires, personality, and subsequent choices? Even if we account for quantum randomness at the subatomic level, random processes don't give us free will either. They just make some outcomes unpredictable rather than determined. Either way, consciously directed choice seems to disappear. Why it matters? So if free will is an illusion, does that mean we should all give up and accept that we're merely biological robots running predetermined programs? Not necessarily. Even determinists acknowledge that your sense of choice still matters tremendously. When you deliberate between options, weigh consequences, and make decisions that align with your values, even if those processes are determined, the deliberation itself is a crucial part of how your future unfolds. Understanding the factors that influence your choices can actually expand your freedom rather than diminish it. By recognizing unconscious biases, social pressures, and biological predispositions, you gain the ability to account for these factors in your decision-making. Perhaps freedom isn't about being free from causal influences, but about being free from external constraints while your actions flow from your own desires, values, and reasoning, even if those internal states were themselves determined. Whether free will exists in some metaphysical sense or not, your experience of choosing remains central to your humanity. Understanding the hidden influences on your decisions doesn't rob them of meaning. It enriches your self-awareness and potentially expands the range of choices you'll consider. The question isn't whether your decisions are entirely free from influence. They clearly aren't. The question is, now that you know about these influences, what will you do with that knowledge? So the next time you reach for coffee instead of tea, or scroll social media instead of reading a book, take a moment to wonder, why did I really make that choice? The answer might be far more complex and fascinating than you ever imagined. If you enjoyed this exploration of the hidden forces shaping your decisions, hit subscribe for more videos that challenge how you see yourself and the world around you.